Welcome to the 5-7 podcast. I'm your host, Pri, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mike Salinas.
Good afternoon.
And today, our interview is with Sara Slattery. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. No
problem. Why don't you give us a quick introduction of yourself, or go as long as you want.
My name is Sara Slattery. I guess I'm most known for being a distance runner. I was a 10-time state champ for Arizona and a junior national champ in the distance races, and went on to run at the University of Colorado, where I was a 4-time NCAA champ. I was a part of 2 national championship teams, and then was also 5K and 10K national champ on the track. And then went on to run professionally for Adidas and Nike, and later Brooks, and was the Pan American Games champ in 2007 for the 10K. I was the runner-up for I was the alternate for the Olympic team in 2008 for the 5K, and was the U.S. national 8K champ on the roads, and have PRs of 15:08 for 5K and 31:57 for 10K.
Wow.
And now I'm coaching at a small. I have 2 children. I'm married to Steve Slattery, who is a professional steeplechaser who ran 8:15 in the steeplechase, and then we have 2 children. My daughter is 3 years old. Her name is Callie, and my son is 5, and his name's Stevie. And we live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm the head cross country and assistant track coach for Grand Canyon University in Phoenix. We're a small D1 school here, and I'm building the distance program here in Phoenix. So we just went to Division I fully last year, and it's fun to build this program in my hometown and be on the other side now, coaching instead of as an athlete.
So you're originally from Phoenix then?
Yes, I grew up in Phoenix.
What made you want to go to Colorado?
I guess the main reason was the program, the distance program, and the head coach, Mark Wetmore. They had had a lot of success. They'd never won a national championship before I went there, but they had had a lot of distance success. Actually, right when I was deciding to go there, they had just come out with the book Running with the Buffaloes, and I'd heard about it. And it's kind of, I don't know if you know about the book, but it's like a similar to like a basketball diary of like day in and day out of what it's like to be a college cross country athlete at a top program. And so I'd heard about it, and then just the connection with our college coach. He was someone that made you believe in yourself and your team, and want to attain these things at the highest level. And I felt like he was the person that could get me to be my best. So, that's why I wanted to go to Colorado. And I also loved, it's a beautiful place. There's awesome places to train, the trails. The weather is a little cooler. You're up at altitude, which is beneficial for a distance runner in terms of building red blood cells, and it can help you in training. But it was mostly the program, the coach, and the environment that really sold me.
Okay, that's cool. So you said that you ran for Adidas, Nike, and Brooks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm nowhere near the type of runner you are, but I am a runner nonetheless. And I have had I've ran in Nikes and Adidas and Brooks, and it seems for some reason that and New Balance and Asics, but I found that New Balance and Brooks seem to be the best for my feet, maybe best for my stride.
Uh-huh.
What could you say about maybe running in Adidas and these different products, like maybe differences that you've noticed?
I think all of them have, when it comes down to it, like every runner either have like they pronate, run on the outside of their feet, or supinate, go on the inside of their feet, or they're in a neutral. And most companies have a good shoe for all of those things. It's just the wear. I mean, I've worn all of them and found a great shoe in all of those brands.
Okay.
I do think that each company kind of has their niche. I think I don't know. I think you can't go wrong with any of them. It just depends on what you're looking for in a shoe.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
So like I'm a neutral. I need a neutral cushion shoe, and so with Nike, I wore the Pegasus. With Adidas, I wore their Boston, and then with Brooks, I wore their Ghost, or the mostly their Ghost. I like the neutral cushion shoe.
Okay. So running in high school, what was it? Were you like, you know what, this is kind of what I want to do. I want to try out running. Like how did that start for you?
I started out as a swimmer. I swam club for 10 years and was a very competitive swimmer. I started like with the summer rec league, and then got to where I was in high school training twice a day, and competing at like the junior national, close to like the senior national level. And so I was swimming, and I ran. I'd done middle school track and cross country because some of my friends were doing it while I was still swimming, and had success at that level, but still thought I was a better swimmer. So I did not run cross country my freshman year. I swam, and then I was struggling a little bit with swimming, and had decided to run track that year and swim at the same time, and actually was second at the state meet in all, like the 800 mile and 2 mile, and our team won the 4x8. And so then I wasn't really putting a lot of effort into running. And so then that summer, I decided I was going to run cross country that fall instead of swim. And I guess the rest is history. I still continue to swim in the off season, but running became my focus. And I qualified for the high school national championships in cross country that fall. And then won my first state title in cross country, and went to the national championships, and then decided to continue running after that, and really took off on the running side. And so swimming really gave me, I think, the endurance and the engine to get there. But, and then I just found a love for running after that. I really didn't like running until I started finding that success a little bit, I guess.
Sure.
And it gave me the motivation to want to do it.
So I did a little research on you, Sarah, and you're downplaying yourself because you are big time, and you were you did win a gold in the 10,000 meter Pan American Games, Rio de Janeiro, big deal. What's interesting is that the year before that, from what I read, is that you did suffer a stress fracture. And how did you recover so quickly within the year? I mean, you had to be pretty grueling training to get through to that point.
If you read about most athletes and top level, like distance runners, it's almost a part of the game. Injuries are like, it's tough when you're set back with things like that. But now, like, I think having that swimming background and having the ability to cross train and do some other things, you try to find the positive in it. And So I did train really hard. I was in the pool a lot and doing a lot of other cross training. I was cross training up to 3 hours a day. And then
Jeez.
transitioning back. I think the cross training is like, once you get to start running, you get to run again. It feels so much easier than when you were doing when you were cross training to maintain your fitness. So I was actually very, very fit when I got that stress fracture, and then I was able to run track that season. And then I really didn't have a great. So I got that stress fracture in March, and then or February, and I was supposed to run the cross country nationals, and so I had to pull out of that. I was out for about 5 weeks, and then I was able to race in May pretty well. And then I just didn't have the fitness at nationals to be one of the top level athletes, but I was lucky enough to where I missed the spot to make world championships and even Pan Americans, but someone turned the team down and I was given an opportunity to go. And I felt I was so lucky and had this gift, and then my fitness really started to come together. Now that after that I had been healthy. And so I think it was a combination of finally having that time and being fit, having that training on my legs, and then just being so excited to be there, and seeing it as a big opportunity, and I seized it. And I think that maybe if I wasn't injured, I might not have been so excited or like seen it as such a gift to be there. So
Right.
I think that injury really helped me.
Is there like an off season for cross country running?
So in college, the cross country season, high school and college, the cross country season goes from about October, like September through the end of November. And then and the professional scene, the cross country season was in January. Actually, it's like December through the end of February, early March. The World Cross Country Championships are. But the professional season for cross country, like, has been over the last like probably 5 or 6 years has really gone down. It's not, the popularity has gone away. It has significantly dropped, and they only have the World Cross Country Championships. I think, it's like every 2 years now. It used to be every year. So they, like, most of the top professionals don't run cross country just because the money isn't there and the popularity, and most are either on the roads or on the track.
Why do you think popularity dropped? Do you think other sports are cannibalizing athletes?
I think it's just I think the money just wasn't there anymore. And on the world scene, like, the contracts for athletes, like, they weren't putting an emphasis on cross country anymore. So people were gearing up for track or the roads, and there was more bonuses or just more significance going in the track and the roads versus cross country.
Now, in college, I'm sure that you had a pretty strict diet. What would you say, what was your diet like in college?
I was, my first few years, like, I would say, I've always eaten very, very healthy. Like, even like I learned through swimming, like, you had to fuel your body properly to meet the demands of what you were trying to do. But I say, like, in college, and I don't think that, so I'd say I ate healthy probably 90% of the time. And then I still love, like, a good burger. And I have a huge sweet tooth, so you'll always find Reese's peanut butter cups in my freezer, and I'm very weak with ice cream, so those things like I always had found room for in my diet, but 90% of the time I'm trying to fuel properly, so lean meats, quality carbohydrates, and fruits and vegetables, and good fats. So I try to eat a pretty balanced diet in general, but I definitely there's certain things I really like to splurge on.
Yeah, I think we all do. And it starts with chalk and it ends with lit.
Yes, definitely.
So were there ever any moments where you were like, you know what, the diet just isn't working? Not want to say it's not working, but you're like, I'm just tired of eating the same stuff. Did you ever get to that kind of point?
No, but I found when I was first in college, I wasn't fueling enough to meet the needs of what I was trying to ask of my body. And so I was getting injured a lot, and I needed to add more calories and add better quality calories when I was eating. So I was always afraid to eat breakfast, before I was going to go run hard. And, but then I was putting myself in a calorie deficit for the rest of that morning. And, I got mono, I got a couple of stress fractures. And so the diet became I didn't have as many injuries when I started fueling properly and adding a little more calories into my diet and increasing the quality of what I was eating. So and trying to vary my diet more. So getting different fruits and vegetables, different sources of carbohydrates, and better sources of protein.
Could you give me an example of the carbs that you take in?
So, and this was another thing I found out after, when I was at the end of my college career, is that I had a severe gluten intolerance. So that's when I started varying my carbohydrate sources more. I was always pasta, bread, things like that, and then it was really bothering my stomach.
Right.
And when I changed that out of my diet, it really, I was able to absorb. I was iron deficient also, so it helped get my iron up. So I started eating a lot more potatoes, sweet potatoes, rice, different grains, like quinoa, and then the carbohydrates that you get from fruits and vegetables and those things as well, and not eating.
Did you take any? Did you take any those carb drinks or anything like that?
I didn't, because I wasn't really the furthest distance I ran in college most often was 5K. Until my senior year, I did a 10K. So I didn't really need, we would, occasionally have Gatorade and those things. And I started drinking more of it when I was doing the 10K, but I wasn't losing fluids other than in training. I didn't need huge amounts of carbohydrate sources when I was running. So not where a half marathon or marathon would need those carbohydrate drinks throughout the run. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're traveling and you're running in these races, how hard is it to keep your diet going? Because sometimes you go out of town and everyone goes yeah, I'm out of town, and my diet just kind of hit the fan. What did you do to keep your diet going while you're traveling?
So I say I guess even college and post-collegiately, you're on the road a lot, and right. You get in kind of a routine and you find the things that work all the time. And yeah, we would eat out, but you would you kind of find the things on the menu that aren't gonna make you just go, that can keep you on the right track. But that being said, at the end of the season, and after a good race, we'd always get, I don't know, ice cream or go get a shake or a blizzard or something like that. Because you need to reward yourself when you have good performances, and you can't like restrict yourself all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I have a bit of a gluten intolerance too, and you know, like I didn't know what it was at first, and then, you know, I was having like stomach issues, and then I took red meat out of my diet, and I started eating more fish and chicken and stuff like that, and I noticed a big difference. And when I'd go for a run in the morning, you know, like I wouldn't eat anything, and you know, I would do like a mile, and then I'd start feeling like a little shaky a little bit. So I started eating like oatmeal and a yogurt maybe about an hour before a run, and I'd feel like, and then I would have like a cutie, like a little orange cutie, like right before a run, and then I'd have like that sugar spike, and I'd be like ready to go to town.
Yeah, you just needed a little bit more glycogen in your system.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm going out there like maybe people thought I was suicidal or something. So, you know, a lot of people have issues with running. You know, they say like, you know, like they get shin splints, or, you know, they start having knee issues or back issues. And I normally tell people that, you know, they have like bad running form, more than likely. And probably like their shoes, because some people, you know, they pronate and they're wearing, you know, like neutral shoes, and they start having issues.
Yeah.
How do you advise people to work on their running form?
So I think the first thing is, getting yourself in the right shoe, so that you don't have those issues, if you are prone to doing those things, to stay, just to have something that's going to support your foot. But, in terms of changing your running form, I think, you want to find something that's gonna you can work on a series of drills that will help keep you more efficient when you're running. So the biggest thing is you want to plant neutral on the like mid foot. A lot of people think you want to be on your toe, but the most efficient, even the top sprinters, are hitting the mid part of their foot and going up. They're just going a lot faster than we are. And so that's the most efficient form to get the most force into the ground and to propel you forward. So you're looking for someone that's going to hit neutral and the ball of their foot and push off. But also, as you come up the leg, you want to make sure that their hips aren't dropping, and that they're up, and that they're also not like their legs aren't, what they're doing with their legs, is it twisting in or out, and that's going to affect the way that their foot is landing as well. So you kind of look at those things and see how you can tweak those. And I have a series of drills that I work with my athletes to try to get them more efficient with their form and their landing, so that you can even get like 1% more efficient over a 10K. You're going to, you can drop up to 10 seconds to a minute in your time.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. That's crazy.
Wow.
Because you're exerting less energy as you become more efficient.
Wow.
Yeah, I always had a problem with until I worked on it. Like I would like plant heel toe, so I was essentially expending, you know, a ton of energy running. Yeah. And my hips would, as you would say, they would drop, you know. And then I started doing the, planting my feet right, and I noticed a really, really big difference.
Yeah, and you can do some drills that'll help you make you stronger. And you want to reinforce the right movements when you're doing the drills, so that because you can do the drills incorrectly and then just reinforce poor form and and continue on the same path. So you want to make sure you're doing them correctly. They'll get you stronger and then help you when you're in that running form, like to remember how to plant properly.
Maybe at the end of the podcast, maybe you could shoot me like a link for for this, so I can kind of share it on the Instagram page for people. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome.
So curious, outside of the whole physical factor, I don't run. I mean, I do run, but I wouldn't consider myself ever a runner. I run when I have to do just for cardio purposes, just to get my heart rate up when I work out. But mentally, I just can't buy into it. I mean, what do you do mentally to get yourself through? I mean, you go through these long stretches of 6 to 12 miles and doing these kind of things. How do you get through that stuff? I mean, because I can't. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, 3 miles is a killer for me, and I can't take my mind off of it. It's boring to me. It is. I just don't know how to deal with it. So do you have any advice for people like me that are just trying to get your cardio in a little bit just to get your heart rate up, and how to fix that?
I think there's a few things now that I'm not competing as an athlete, but I still enjoy running and I still enjoy being fit. I have to have some sort of goal behind it. Otherwise it's really hard for me to get out the door. So I think finding some sort of goal that you want to have with your running, whether it be I'm trying to lose weight, or I'm trying to run a 20-minute 5K, or something of that line. There's a purpose behind your day and what you're trying to do that day. And then also, I'm not a bit for me, it's more of a stress relief for me, because I get if I don't have my run during the day, I get wound up and stressed out, and so if I don't work out, I just feel I don't feel myself. I feel I need that release in order to be calm. It calms me, and I can think about things I just have a much clearer mind after I'm done running, and so that's kind of that's my therapy. I don't go to therapy. That's my therapy.
Yeah, I think we all have something like that.
Yeah, so that's another big thing for me. But I know that for some people, just having, and I'm not a big proponent of it because it doesn't help. I'm not into it unless I'm on the treadmill. But listening to music or having something to listen to can help you get through longer runs. Just because it makes the time go by faster. And I know when I'm cross training or in the gym, I have to have music or something to get me through it. But when I'm out on the trails, it goes by so quickly when I'm out on a run. But for anyone that's just trying to get through a run, music can be so useful, or podcasts or things.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? You hear that out there?
57.
That's right. Sarah Slattery says, if you listen to the 57 podcast, you will last at least one more K if you can listen through it all the way through.
And your 10K might go down 0.001%.
Exactly.
So, do you have any tips on people that are looking to get faster?
So I think it's just being consistent and putting in training. If you have a training, have a training plan and set a goal, have a training plan, and be consistent with what you're doing. Cause it's just putting in the work and, training that over time will get you get you better. In terms of being faster, it depends, you can get more efficient, do those drills, and just run more.
Yeah. Yes. Do you have any advice for people who are, they don't run, but they're the New Year's resolution people, and they're looking for a new them, and they want to start running, and they go to Dick's and they buy the first pair of Nike free running shoes that they find, and they can't run 50 feet. Do you have any advice for those people?
I would say for them to join a group, or like there's a ton of different running groups and training groups out there, and just being involved and having other people that are in the same spot that they're in motivates you, and you have those people to train with. It keeps you accountable, and then you usually have like some sort of coach or someone that helps you along the way, and that's so effective. And like just being a part of a team like that, or having that group of people to work with, it's just like anything. It you're not an individual by yourself, and it helps. It can drive you much, much further than if you were trying to do it by yourself.
Okay. How would you say your experiences, obviously you've had a lot of experience as a runner, but how was that transition to, this anymore? I'm moving on to the next stage of my life, and you became a head coach. Like, how was that transition? Could you explain that?
So the transition was a little strange because, I guess, like, I had my children, and I had told myself I was going to come back for the Olympic trials in 2016, and run the marathon trials and the track trials. So, I had those plans in sight, and that the August of 2015, the head track coach, Tom Flood, he called me and said he wanted me to. They had a position open for the cross country head coach at JCU. They really wanted me to take over the cross country program. And I had already made these plans to be run professionally again and come back after my kids. And so then I was like, oh, I have this great opportunity. And it was something I just couldn't turn down, building a Division I program in my hometown. So that first, I told Tom like where I was at, and he's like, no, we don't have we're like bare bones, like starting from Division II, going over to Division I. And my first season, and he's like, why don't you continue to run this, and achieve those goals that you have set for this year and build the program at the same time. Like, I will support you and make sure that you can be there for your kids, but do everything to help build our program. So my first season I ran with the team on almost everything, but coming in, my PRs were better than any of the men on the team. And so I ran almost every day with the guys on the team, and they improved significantly that season. And it also helped me. It made me excited about running. I ended up I ran the Olympic, or I was getting ready to run the Olympic trials for the marathon, and then ended up qualifying for the trials on the track, and ended up hitting the Olympic A standard, which I hadn't done in 6 or 7 years before that. So I gained like a ton of fitness and was really enjoying like watching this team grow and helping this team grow. And so I continued doing that for the year through the next fall. And then I was just ready to coach full time and put all my energy into that. And now it's been really fun. Like I still help them and run with them on easy days, but now I was ready to hang up the spikes and really see them through, and building the program and putting more time and energy into my kids. my
Yeah.
personal kids and my kids on the team. I call both my kids because I feel like you almost become a parent as a coach. And I have 30 athletes, and I have 2 of my own kids and 30 kids on the team.
Okay. What are your what was your experience like in Rio de Janeiro? Like, where were you like kind of mentally at that time in your life?
I hadn't had a great buildup at that point, but on the track that season, just coming off an injury, not having like a great U.S. Nationals, an okay one. But that month after the national championships, I had my fitness really started coming together, and I was having like some really awesome workouts, and I was starting to gain confidence and getting really excited about things. And then when I got the opportunity to go, I was super excited. So mentally, like on paper, I didn't look great, but mentally I was like super motivated and excited, and just really wanted to represent my country and run well, and knew I could do well if I just put myself in the right position and went for it. And so I knew it was going to be hot, and it was a little warm, and I knew it could be slow at the beginning. So it was super slow through 5K. And then after 5K, I took it and I led the next 12. I ran and led the next 12 and a half laps by myself, which is really difficult in the 10K. But I was confident and excited, and just really, really wanted it.
So the heat didn't bother you at all?
I think just having the growing up in Phoenix, like the heat doesn't intimidate me.
Okay.
So I wasn't really training in Phoenix, but just having that background, I knew like I could handle it.
What about running in the cold? Does the running in the cold bother you?
I don't know. Like then living in now, like, I don't know, living in Colorado, it never bothered me. Like my first year at Colorado, our national championships for cross country were in Ames, Iowa, and it was 19 below zero.
Holy smoke.
Yeah. And I was coming from Phoenix, and everybody has the same conditions. So you just like know, all right, it's going to suck a little bit more going out there today. It's going to be a little bit colder, but I'm racing I'm on the line with 100 other girls that are going to have to deal with the same thing. So yeah. Let's see who's tougher.
So you've already ran through an Arctic vortex before the Arctic vortex even came.
Yeah, that was probably the toughest conditions I've run in. But our team won that season, and I was 8th as a freshman at the national championships. So we just knew like we were fit, and that no matter what the conditions were, we were gonna perform and have a great day.
Wow.
Jesus. Wow. Yeah.
What are your plans for the future?
My plans are to build a program in Phoenix, a Division I program cross country at Grand Canyon, to be the national level each year. Like in the next 3 years, I'd like to build a team that goes to the national championships for cross country. So that's a top 32 teams in the country. There's over 330 cross country programs. So it's like the top 10%. So it's a tough team. It's a tough championships to make, but and especially for our program, that would be a huge accomplishment. And then I just want to continue to have teams qualify year in and year out, but just get kids that want to build something special in Phoenix, and then help kids attain the similar success and fulfillment that I did in college. And that's that's really my goal as a coach, is to help them achieve what they're capable of, and help them achieve those things in college.
Is head coaching kind of what you thought it would be?
It is and it isn't. Like I didn't realize how much you have to juggle as a college coach. You're almost running a small business with travel, recruiting, coaching, and then you're almost like a parent or psychologist a lot of these athletes to try to get them to perform well. But it's very, very fulfilling, and I really, really enjoy it. And at the end of the day, like it's so rewarding.
What kind of challenges do you have with recruiting?
We're a small school that a lot of kids don't know who we are, and so it's overcoming that hurdle. We haven't had a lot of, when you're trying to recruit some of the best kids in the country, and we're not a Stanford or a Michigan or, like a top, an Ivy League school or anything like that. You're trying to get them to understand who we are and what we're trying to do. And telling them you're selling yourself a little bit, and trying to get them to understand about building something special and building a program. So yeah, I think that's difficult when you're recruiting. But at the same time, we have a lot of great things that other programs don't have. We have wonderful weather from October to April. We have awesome trails. We have great training facilities, an amazing coach.
Yeah, don't forget that.
And a great team. So I think those are the things, like when I was getting recruited, the main thing that stood out to me was, can I see myself getting better? Like, is this coach invested in me, and do I have a team that's going to support me? So those are the things. And then, can I get a degree and be happy here as well?
Wow. Well, that's awesome. And we really appreciate you coming on the podcast. You had a really interesting story, and I loved it.
Agreed.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really, I was honored to have you ask me to be on the podcast, and I really enjoyed getting to know you both. And I'm going to keep listening. I'm excited, and it will make you faster if you listen to your podcast, because it'll get you through runs. You'll get fitter.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, hey, this is Mike, and this is Pri and Mike signing off. 57 podcast.